Hey there YouTube, what's up? I am Z-Tone Train and this is just a basic dude vlog. And today we are going through some hurricane preparations. Hurricane preparations because there's a hurricane that's supposed to go past us, a little bit north of us, here where I'm at in Florida. However, the last time they said that the stupid thing was going to land north of me, Hurricane Ian sat down right where we were and made itself known forever and destroyed everything. And we went without power for a couple of weeks, without internet for longer. We went without cell phone service for a while. It was really, really rough to try and get any kind of information into or out of where I live in Florida. And this storm is still far enough out. The problem with it is that they have these tracks. And there's a bunch of tracks that show it going north into the panhandle of Florida up by Tallahassee, which, you know, God bless them, pray for them. But there are 4 or 5 models that show it just going directly at me. And sometimes that kind of thing happens. So I'm doing some late night, just doing some checklists, going through some things. We rode out Hurricane Ian right here where we were. I watched the water come right up to my door. It was one of the scariest things ever. We were at a friend's house here in town, and the storm surge came through, like, with if the water had gone that much higher, it would have ruined our carpet. Let's put it that way. I was very frightened by Ian. It was waves crashing on the house. It broke down power poles all over the place. It broke down stop signs everywhere, and everything was just destroyed. Signage, there's still a lot of signage that's gone from Ian. So I'm just going through my list of stuff, and I thought maybe I would show you guys. You know, we're going through a list of things, and maybe there's some things you might not think of. First off, battery operated lights. I really like these little guys right here. It has a flashlight on top and a lantern and a magnet to stick it to things, and that is wonderful. It has these 2 hooks in the bottom to hang it off of things. This one is made by Lux Pro, and I got it at Bi-Mart. I don't know if they have Bi-Mart down here. This is also a Lux Pro. This is a much larger. This one runs on C batteries. This runs on AAAs. So I've already gone through my list of batteries, and I think I'm okay, but you're never okay, right? And this big guy right here lights up the night. It is a really great lantern. Lux Pro makes some really cool stuff. These are great products. Really weatherproofed and tough. They feel good in your hand. They're heavy. Very handy lights. I have 3 cases of bottled water. That's just for drinking. 3 cases is a couple of days for us probably. Hopefully, were it to hit us head on within a few days, there would be a way to get more. Right now, there is a run on bottled water in town, and there probably isn't a way to get any more as of tonight, because one of the first things that goes is drinking water. Because when the surge rises, when the storm surge comes up, all of the coastal towns, the first thing that goes is the sewer system mixes into the drinking water system, and the treatment plants immediately put out a boil water, or even a do not drink the water even if you boil it warning, right? And they, in fact, the last time Hurricane Ian, they recommended we didn't even, you know, let it in our eyes or our mouth or around our face when we were taking a shower in the water for a long time after the hurricane. So we have drinking water. However, I also have 4 cases of shelf-stable water that's 10-year water in case something were to happen and I couldn't get to the store to get water. I have enough for 2 or 3 days, but I hope not to break into that because it's much more expensive. So the shelf-stable water is cartoned in such a way that it lasts 10 years without going musty or going over or being disgusting. So I have 4 cases of that, but I hope not to break into that no matter what happens, honestly. I hope to have that, but the whole point in having these things is to use them. Now, flushing your toilets. The first thing that you're going to want to do is fill up all of your bathtubs. And that is not so you'll have drinking water to boil or whatever. That is going to be your toilet flusher water. Because when the last time the water absolutely stopped working because the pump stopped working for the city. I'm not on a well here. I'm on city water. And the city pressure was gone. There's no water. So for a couple of days. So you're going to want to be able to flush your toilet. That's going to get disgusting quick. So you fill up both bathtubs. If you have 2 bedrooms and 2 baths or what have you, fill up the tubs. And that's going to be to flush your toilet with. Also, before the water goes bad, get a couple of these bad boys. These were, I think he was $15 at Walmart. And I fill up a couple of these. We have a couple of different ways to filter water. This one is awesome. It's super heavy though, so you got to be careful. But fill that up. That's going to be like boil and use, or it's not going to stay for. It's humid and gross here, so that water isn't going to be good for drinking for very long out of the faucet because of the particulate and the stuff that grows in the water here. You're going to want to filter that, but it would also be good for using it for other things besides drinking. You have the drinking water for that, right? Gasoline. The gas stations in town are already pretty much out of gas. At least the 2 lower octanes, the 87 and the 89 are gone. There's probably a little bit of 92 left in town, and there's probably what we call recreational gas here, which is ethanol-free gas, which, God, man, if you could afford to run that in your car, wouldn't that be wonderful? I've run it when I was driving over here because in Arizona they don't sell ethanol, or at least they didn't at the places I stopped. It was just ethanol-free gasoline. Here, recreational gas is almost like $5 a gallon, which is no good considering that regular gas, generally lately it's been about $3.10 a gallon. So I took both cars and filled up both cars. If I have to make a run, if it actually, the models don't work out and it does turn this way, I have a couple of these, which I bought during the last hurricane. And I have a few, and I'll run down and fill these bad boys up before the hurricane hits if it does turn east. The reason that I'm not doing it right off the bat now, most of the models show it going the other direction, and it's expensive. But also one of those cans can go for $100. If the hurricane were to hit us head on, people will pay anything to keep their car on the road. I would never gouge somebody like that. I'm just saying that to get the gasoline after would be very expensive, or you wait for hours and hours because the only gas stations that are going to be open are Wawa's. And the reason Wawa's is going to be open is because they have giant generator trucks that come in for each Wawa's. And then you'll wait in line for 4, 5, 6, 8 hours to put gas in your car, and that's if the gas holds out. I wound up buying a tank full of 92 octane the last hurricane. 2 days after I waited, my car was on empty, and I waited anyway to get it filled up. Just barely scoshed by. I think I was the third to the last person to get gasoline out of this massive line, and then it was over. There wasn't any gasoline. So gasoline. Both my cars are filled up to the rim as we sit right now. So we've gone through water, light. We have my coolers. I have them ready here. You come with me. So we have coolers. And my big Coleman lantern is there. And he runs on kerosene. We have our Coleman stoves. And our tarps. Never have enough of those, I found. So there's the Coleman stoves. Those were so handy. The Coleman stove, the propane stove was so handy during the aftermath of Ian. We had hot food to eat. A lot of people didn't. The Army will come through. The National Guard, God bless them, will come through eventually and hand out MREs, and you can heat MREs with an MRE heater. But sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. The food's okay, but it's not great. It'll tear your stomach up a little bit. I keep some MREs around. That's another thing. I have a couple cases of MREs ready to go in the off chance that something stupid happens. But there's little things people might not think of, like this. Mr. Coffee's not going to work if the power doesn't work. So if Mr. Coffee doesn't work, we have this beautiful blue percolator, like your grandpa used to use. He goes on the stove and makes excellent coffee. I'm a big fan of the percolator. I don't know why I don't just use that every day. It's a 14-cup coffee pot. It's pretty nice. So we have the percolator, and it does take filters. I don't know why I don't use that. It's stays in my stuff that I have to just be prepared or what have you. But the percolator, coffee. You're gonna want coffee. You're gonna want something to pick you up, and Mr. Coffee's not gonna work if there's no electricity. What else are we looking at today? We've looked at the Coleman lantern. Oh, communications. Like I said, cell phones didn't work during Ian, after the aftermath of Ian, and they didn't work for a long time. People don't talk about this. The towers were wrecked. Cell phone towers were wrecked. In order, like, sometimes you could get a text through, sometimes you could get a call through. The few towers that weren't completely destroyed, there's a thing called bandwidth. Everything uses it, including the cell phone towers. And guess what? If there's a billion people on one tower, you don't have any bandwidth. So you don't have internet, so you don't have information. You do not have a cell phone to call your mama and tell her that you're doing fine. You don't have a way to call work. So, in order to stay in touch with humanity, I did get my CB finally set up in the Escape. I'm a big proponent of two-way radio. I'm an obsessed nerd about it. But I did set all of that up in the Escape. I'll put the antenna on it tomorrow. I'm just going to do a regular magnet mount antenna. It's going to keep it simple this time because I don't have time to really go through and do as good of an install as I wanted to do. I ran the cables straight off the battery for all the equipment that I hooked up, and my magnet mount antenna should take the radio just fine. I don't think I'll burn it up. But that will keep me at least in touch with some people. And also, if someone needs help, maybe I might have to go help somebody. And there's some fellows out on the islands that run CBs, and I've been meaning to talk to them on the radio anyway. So I got all that stuff hooked up. Where are we? Information. So, you do not want to run through all of your expensive batteries right off the bat. You are going to want to have a radio that does not work on batteries. Give me one moment to look around this place, because I know that I have one sitting out here that I was playing with earlier. Well, isn't this an interesting situation for someone that is purporting to be prepared for something? One moment. Where did Mr. Beijing go? I'm going to pause you guys for a second. Ta-da! Okay, so what I like to have, because I don't want to run through all my C's and D's quickly in a radio that runs completely on batteries, is I have this Beijing radio, and it's older. It's from the 90s. Art Bell used to sell them. The Beijing Free Play radio, and it is a clockwork generator radio, and it is excellent. Absolutely love it. It has AM, FM shortwave. The dial here, you just flip that bad boy out, crank him, and then it runs on clockwork for about 30 minutes. And excellent radio, works really well. So in order to not run through all your batteries, I have the Beijing. And then you've seen my other smaller radios that I keep in my packs and stuff like that. I'm still going to have all of those things. So the radio does what it does. One, you can get information, because the radio stations will come back up. They are going to go down if the storm hits here. They did last time. They went down for about a day, maybe two, and then they came back. And what you're going to want is to have information for a lot of things. If you're running out of food, there are going to be places where the National Guard is going to hand out food, generally in the form of MREs. They're not really like MREs, but they're emergency meals, low salt emergency meals made by APAC, SOPAC Co., Chef 5-minute meals, and they'll give you a case of those, or maybe 2 cases a day. It all depends on how many people are in your family, and they'll hand them out. And that was what happened last time during Ian. So you're going to want the radio to know where they're handing the food out at. And the water. They're going to give you bottled water too. They'll give you a case or 2 of bottled water when you go there. If you're running out of things, this is very handy. They'll give you tarps. There's lots of different things that they will help you with in the event that an emergency does occur and everything does go to hell. We wound up with army tarps on the roof of our house for months. Before my father-in-law was able to get everything fixed up and the insurance came through. The insurance was terrible after Ian for every homeowner here. There's still blue tarps on people's homes in Port Charlotte and in Cape Coral from Ian because the insurance just hasn't paid out yet. So, God bless the National Guard and their MREs. But the radio, you're going to get information. You're going to get information on what gas stations are open. You're going to get information. People are going to call in the radio station and say they're okay, just so their family can hear their voice and say that they're okay. So you're going to get all that information, but also, like, it's entertaining. And that is, in a world where we sit and stare at the internet all day, there is a massive entertainment glut when there isn't an internet. I mean, the first week, you're fighting for your life to try and keep it's hot. You're just trying to keep water and food and everything going. But after the first week, when you kind of get your bearings and get everything handled, you get really fucking bored. Oh, sorry. You get really bored. Really awfully bored with the whole thing. That's when it's time to get up on the roof and put a tarp up and run the radio. Or work on your tarp, work on your screens, because your screens are going to get ripped off your lanai or your back porch or your windows. Those are all things that happened after Ian. So what have we gone through? We have light, radio, 2-way radio, gasoline. I have kerosene for my lantern. I have my lantern, coffee pot, flotation devices, maybe. Air mattresses would work. I don't know if you guys have ever seen what happened after Katrina, but they were floating on anything they could find. So, flotation devices. Another thing that people will overlook and forget is to get ice for their coolers. Go down before the rush at the gas stations and get ice for your coolers. Get 3 or 4 bags, throw them in your freezer. Because the food that's in your refrigerator is really expensive right now, and you're going to want that to not go bad. And that's a thing that happens. Generator. I should have bought one. I was talking about buying one when they were cheap used after the last hurricane, because everybody ran out and bought a $300 generator. They're just little ones that'll run a light or a radio or your refrigerator. And they'll bring in stacks of them at like auto parts stores and things, and you can buy one. They're not great generators, but then like later on they sell for $100 after people figure out they don't need 10 generators or whatever. But I made a huge mistake not buying one. I really should have bought one when they were cheap. So maybe the next hurricane I'll have a generator set up to run my refrigerator and stuff. And that might make life a little bit easier for people. You have to be careful people don't steal your generator. If it was me, I would chain it to a tire of a car. In the backyard, I'd run a car up in the backyard and chain it to a tire. Because you're going to want it kind of away. They're loud. They're god-awful loud. Generator. So next time, that's part of my list for next time. I organized all my tools up today and charged all of my batteries. So that is another thing that you're going to want, is you're going to want your tools. You don't know when you're going to need them. I have a nice little set of power tools with a speaker that you can charge your phone and everything off of. It has a USB port on it. So charge all your batteries. There you go. So there's that. So the vehicles are set up. The food and water is set up. The electricity that you can get without a generator is set up. Radio for information. And then you ride it out. If it was to come this way, I would put the shutters on the windows and the back porch door. So they're like big tin metal corrugated steel shutter things that bolt to the wall. And those would go up if that were to occur, if it was to decide that it was going to go this direction. And the crazy thing about it's not like a 1 in a million chance that the stupid thing turns east. When Ian hit, they said that it was going to hit north of Tampa, and then they said Tampa, and then they said south of Tampa, and the next thing you know, Ian roars into Charlotte Harbor and just destroys everything. So the models showing everything going north aren't perfect, and they're not the only models that there are. There are models showing it going east. There's some showing it going west, which I don't think the Panhandle's ready for that kind of thing. So that's it, late night hurricane prepping. I'm just going through some checklists before I go to bed and stuff. And I've been watching this weaver spider make a giant web, which I thought was really interesting to look at. I might post some pictures in the community page later because I think that the web is pretty cool. So, hope you guys have a great night. Anybody that is watching this and has any questions about anything, just shoot me a question in the comment section. I am Z-Town Trey. This is just a basic hurricane vlog, and I am out of here. I'll see ya.